The member for Dartmouth Cole Harbour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to rise, very pleased to rise and speak on this motion, an important motion, M4 430, Labour Market Opportunity for Persons with Disabilities, an important motion brought forward by a good member of Parliament, a member of Parliament that is a clear advocate for people living with disabilities, who I know works hard, he's personally involved, but works hard to make sure that governments at all levels are aware of the need to provide the kind of supports that are necessary to ensure that people living with disabilities are able to contribute to the level at which they want to contribute. And it's extremely important, and I thank him for the work that he does. So I want to make that clear, and that I will be supporting this motion. But he will probably not be surprised that I am going to raise a few little points where I think the motion doesn't quite go far enough. I do that, Mr. Speaker, because I'm well aware of this issue. I deal with many constituents. I have friends that are dealing with the barriers to people living with disabilities every single day. And we can stand here in the House and we can talk about it, and we can see reports written about it that talk about the need to do this and the need to do that. But it's got to be time at some point when we draw the line and say, okay, we got to put some concrete actions into place, and that we've got to assign the appropriate funding to those actions to make sure that we specifically remove the barriers that exist for people on the ground that are living with disabilities. The Rethinking Disabilities in the Private Sector report is a solid report, Mr. Speaker, in that it does identify challenges and success stories of employment for persons with disabilities, but I suggest that there are gaps, and I think that those gaps are the following. That persons with disabilities do not just deal with barriers existing in the workplace. They deal with barriers that are brought on by accessibility problems to housing, accessibility to education, accessibility to transportation, and none of these issues were directly dealt with in the report. In my province of Nova Scotia, and I know that this exists across the country, the ability of a person with disabilities to access independent living opportunities is at a premium. There are far too many wait lists for people that are trying to find proper living accommodations, Mr. Speaker. And you can appreciate that someone who is in a program that is trying to transition them, helping them transition from school to work, trying to support them in employment opportunities. There needs to be an opportunity for those people to live independently, in appropriate housing. Not only does that create opportunities for them, but it relieves the enormous pressures on families, families that are the primary supports and the primary caregivers. Education, likewise, the opportunity for persons living with disabilities to access education, to get the kind of supports in the school systems, both secondary and post-secondary, is extremely important. I've certainly seen evidence of the success that's enjoyed by people living with disabilities that are able to take advantage of those supports, but they're not there for everybody. And again, the waiting lists, the disability-specific supports are not always in place. Transportation, again, is the same thing. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, those are the kind of barriers that we need to focus on, that we need to make sure that we get rid of, and we need to make sure that the that the funding is available. I spoke in a debate earlier a week or so ago about how this government is letting the provinces down on a commitment that it's made in the Constitution of 1982 to provide equalization payments to ensure that provinces are able to deliver an equal level of service. And this is an area where some provinces that don't have access to the same revenues as others are facing challenges. But I want to talk about some examples of success stories in Dartmouth Cole Harbour because there are a few, and there are individuals living with disabilities who are recognizing opportunities as a result of this program. There's the ACE program, established in 2005 by the Independent Living Association of Nova Scotia. It's a year-long transition program for youth with disabilities who have completed high school but are not yet ready for the workforce or further education. There are currently about 20 and usually about 20 young adults every year participate in this innovative program, which includes literacy and numeracy, employment orientation, career exploration and job placements in real-life workplaces. It's currently situated in the Akerley campus of the Nova Scotia Community College. It's set right in a post-secondary institution, and they benefit greatly, as do the students that are attending that community college. Learn and experience good things as a result of that program being there. The Dartmouth Adult Service Centre, DASC it's called, Mr. Speaker, provides community employment services dedicated to providing access to both employment opportunities and providing the support required to ensure continued and future success. Community Employment Services strives to obtain competitive employment in the community for our clients. In fact, they've just moved into a new facility, partially funded by the federal government. Their grand opening is tomorrow. I've been at the facility and been through it, and they provide a wonderful suite of services to people living with disabilities and to organizations within the community, including they are known for their political buttons, Mr. Speaker, and I've certainly bought a few buttons from them myself. The DASC also provides community employment services used to support it's the supported work model of employment, which there are 4 components. 1, assessment and orientation. 2 is job search. 3 is job site training. And 4 is ongoing support. This is an extremely valuable support that is provided. But again, they have a new building. They are providing support. They are providing work opportunities for over 100 individuals. They have staff, but they are continuing to grow in terms of the demand. They have a waiting list, and what they need is greater funding to ensure that they have the qualified staff on hand to not only provide support for people that are working in that organization, but also in the community, Mr. Speaker. The third program is called Reachability. It has a culture. It operates on the basis of a culture built on the belief that we are all equal, and accommodation is simply about equalizing the playing field. Reachability's committed staff are able to provide support to a wide range of clients with a focus on programs designed to build a stronger community, one ability at a time. And they provide transferable skills through training, education, job placement services, and assistance in overcoming barriers. I want to make 2 final points, Mr. Speaker. One is with respect to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The Conservatives were supposed to have reported on this, as was required when they signed on a year ago, but they have failed to do that in terms of what their commitments are going to be. That's simply not good enough Mr. Speaker. I just say to the member opposite who has brought this motion forward, it's a great motion, but we need, I would say we need more action. We need more resources focused to people living with disabilities so that they can be participating in our communities at their fullest potential. Thank you very much.